Folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa. Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. And a quick programming announcement. There will not be a Wednesdays with the Colonel Today broadcast on Ronaldo's program. Ronaldo is in a council meeting and will be tied up. We are not having a meeting. Once again, no council meeting today for Wednesday, April. There's a council meeting. No broadcast of Wednesdays with the Colonel today, the 24th of April, 2024. Hey, folks, welcome back. We've got news on South Africa, from around the continent of Africa, and of course, from North America. Not to mention our favorite friends over there in Ukraine. Yeah, that's right, Ukraine. All right, so let's get to the news. I think some of you are eagerly waiting to hear how yesterday's events went here in central Pennsylvania. Well, Donald Trump won huge in the Pennsylvania primary, despite about 16% of grumpy, angry, whiny Republicans voted for Nikki Haley, who's not even a race. Some people just don't deserve to have the right to vote. Their stupidity. Anyway, Joe Biden won with about 93% of his vote. So the Pennsylvania primary, which was academic for those actors, is over. For me, it wasn't so academic. It was a busy, long day. And let's just tell you up front, I did not win. Not only did I not win, but I lost badly. I lost quite badly. Done in by a combination of dirty, underhanded political tricks and machinations by two angry state legislators who were fighting a proxy war, and I became the victim. Middle almost finished embarrassingly in last place. I came in fourth in a 5-person race. Didn't get 1,000 votes, but to those who did take the time to listen to me during my exhausting, expensive, and long campaign, thank you for your time. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for your vote if you actually voted for me. And this has just confirmed my suspicions that this republic is going to collapse. So it's time to start making preparations for doomsday. Go ahead and get your canned vegetables, your MREs, your spare batteries, your torches, whatever it takes. Get ready for the apocalypse. It's coming. When the republic is so easily deceived by an empty suit, say whatever has to be said, pandering clown, so as to vote for that person, well, there you go. You have it. My campaign was ultimately done in by two things, ladies and gentlemen. The first was, well, three things. That proxy war between two state legislators fighting a war out. That was the first thing it did me. And the second thing that harmed my campaign was that one of the candidates was a school teacher for 20 years. Despite the fairy tale stories, he kept telling everybody that, oh, my students just came to me. My community came to me to run. All fairy tales. The gentleman obviously had a plan to do this for years and put it all in place. I had a website up the day his announcement came up, and already had the backing of the Republican Party, which lied and said it wasn't backing anybody. So the Republican Party here in the district lied to the candidates. And had they not lied to us and told us the truth from the outset, then it would have been a 5-person race. I would not have poured my time, my resources, my energy, breathless energy, working 16-hour days for 2 months on end, pouring all kinds of resources, personal money, and draining my savings. Had I not been lied to and misled by those people, I simply would not have run. If I had known that their plan was to install a pliable puppet, and there's nothing I could do about it, then I would not have wasted people's time. But I do thank those who took the time. Again, folks, I didn't lose. I lost badly. But the candidate getting the most votes only got 35% of the vote. So not exactly a resounding success for that candidate. Anyway, folks, let me get to the chat over here and see what you guys got to say. So John Jarvis obviously saw the results. John said onwards and upwards. Indeed, John. Remember, before the election, when I had a sense that I was doing well. By the way, what happened? The third thing that did me in was a dishonest political trick that was done by a member of the state legislature and by, well, whether that person didn't do it and claims that they didn't do it, but clearly this was obviously some sort of coordinated effort. Just days before the election, a final mailer came out to voters in the Republican Party, which said that the candidate that they had chosen, their pliant puppet, was the legacy of the existing candidate, who's wildly popular. That existing candidate failed to disavow that endorsement. It appeared to voters to be an endorsement. Many voters who were going to vote for me admitted that they changed their vote to the other candidate and cost me dearly because of that mailer and that perceived endorsement, not to mention the criminal activity that was going on by moving political signs and taking mine and other candidate signs and moving them down the road and then putting one candidate signs directly next to that elected official. This political shenanigans is how things work, and it's once again renewed my disgust in politics. And this, again, as I said before the election, is why good people so seldom run. And I've learned my lesson, my painful lesson physically and financially about how corrupt politics in America is. Absolutely corrupt. And you know what? We get what we deserve. People vote for morons. It's their choice. Anyway, there you go. So, again, I lost badly. Anyway, so we got John Jarvis, John Hutchins in from Arizona, Sue Walsh, Keith Alderson from UK, Pierre Orban, Chris Ehlers, Hester Kotze. Mark Sayers is back. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Good to see you there. And what else we got here? Val Cooper's in. Excuse me. Debbie was looking forward to my news. Well, it's not good news, Debbie, unless you all just want to keep me here on the broadcast. I definitely won't have any challenge there. Yeah, Mike says good morning for the day after. And Lori Letton's in from Finland. Hey, Lori, how's it going? And George in from Port. And Ulrich Fenter, Alan Kotze. The singing is painful. Ouch, what singing is painful? You don't like Giselle? I wasn't singing this time. No broadcast night with the Colonel. Yep. Sorry to hear that. No, Sue, don't sweat it. Again, that's where I was getting. Before the election, I did tell people when I thought I was doing well, I was confident that I would do well. I said that whether I win or lose, things go on. You know, this is not my self-actualization. I have done more than my share to make this world a better place in my lifetime, my time on this planet. And so whenever I meet my maker and I leave this realm of existence, I will have been able to reach self-actualization at least one point in my life, probably a few of them. But the point is that this was not that. I'm legitimately trying to save this state and this republic, but people don't want to be saved. That's their shortcoming. I will ensure that I and the folks I care about are kept from Armageddon. But, you know, that's they want to bring apocalypse on themselves. That's their choice. So, yeah, what else you got here? Well, what's your next move? My next move is to become a radical leftist. Sounds very underhanded. Well, at least you did. Yes, Debbie, and I leave the race with my integrity intact, my honesty, my forthrightness, and my character are intact. I can't say that about one of the people in the race. Leaving Haley on the ballot was simply sabotage. Exactly. No, thanks, Mike, for your concern. But again, it's not. It doesn't define me at all, and you know, it defines voters more than it defines me. Thank you, Fleshing. News from the Sun, Iranian hit squad linked. Wow, I didn't hear that. Hey, George, and no, yeah, well, the guy, you know, I'm not going to talk about it. You know, people can make their own decisions. So, live and learn about politics. Exactly, Ken. Exactly. You know, but look, for a long time, my audience has been urging me to run for office. People have been telling me to run for office. And I said, when the time is right, I'll run. Well, the time was right. There was no incumbent, so I ran. And it's not a good result. And a lot of energy, trust me, a lot of energy. I mean, I was literally juggling half a dozen balls simultaneously, needing to go to the war college and do that consulting for a few weeks, missing out on income for that week because I couldn't do it the other week. On top of that, I had physical therapy, which I finally got after 40 years of trying to get it. I'm doing that. In the midst of that, going this campaign, knocking on doors, running around, coming up with advertising campaigns, designing logos. It's quite a bit. And all of it was entirely unnecessary. If only the Republican Party had been honest with the candidates instead of misleading us, it would have been a very different situation. Had the dirty, underhanded politics not played a role, the outcome could have been very different. But, you know, some people will say, well, that's just sour grapes. That guy came almost in last. Yeah, I did. But it's not sour grapes. It's an honest analysis of what happened there. So another analysis here, too, is the thousands of people whom I met. I met a few thousand people, all of whom were enthusiastic, said they're going to vote for me. Obviously, they either were lazy or were dishonest, one of the two, or simply forgot that election day was yesterday. But I find that hard to believe, because had they come out and vote, I would have had many more votes. Would not have won, but I would have more votes. No political party can be trusted. You are correct, Fleshin. No political party can be trusted, especially the Republican Party. Yep. Trevor says good evening, and yeah, I made a great effort and wasted a lot of my money. Chris says, thanks for recognition. You're welcome. And then Conca Queer says, politics are they're very dirty, my friend, very dirty. And having never run for office. You know, last night, supporters and those who worked in my campaign, we had a watch party, which, you know, I was exhausted, yawning most of the time. And like, so what's next? You got to run for something. You got to run for something higher. I said, you know, to run for something higher, you have to be known. Obviously, being known wasn't good enough in a race this small. So here's the other thing. The turnout was absolutely atrocious last night, folks. Absolutely atrocious. We had over 1,000 fewer primary voters in the Republican Party last night than in 2022, which was an off-cycle election. There was nothing on the ballot. except state legislators. There was nothing on the ballot at all. It wasn't a presidential. This is a presidential year, and there are things on the ballot. There are key races on the ballot, and we had over 20% or close to 20% fewer voters this time than last time. That's just crazy. Nobody came out. Mark Sayers said, Chris, I won. Chris won and he says, I won because you need to be able to lie to be a politician. Well, then the guy that won will do fine. Yeah, no, I couldn't lie to people. So, Alan doesn't like Afrikaans music. Sorry about that, buddy. Yeah, so is that the same girl that sang Sight Vest? Yes, it is, Konka. Oh, you must be new to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, that is Giselle, a dear friend of mine and of the channel. Giselle is from Namibia. She sang that song Sight Vest. That is her. Yep. And yeah, she also sings Für uns Mensa, which is kind of the theme song for this program. But today we played South Africa. So yeah, Conquer, thank you for being here. And yeah, that is Giselle. I've appeared with her in person when in South Africa. Lovely lady and a wonderful mom. But unfortunately, Giselle has had a bout of cancer recently, and but she is doing well at this stage. Jan Fion's here. Welcome to you, Teresa. And now you can concentrate on what really consider to be important. Conquering the world. Yes, Ken, that's what I'll focus now on becoming the ultimate ruler of the planet. By the way, I am wearing a shirt today, which probably not smart to wear while you're running a political campaign, but I am wearing it today. For those who are curious, this is what the shirt says. Mike says, ready to start a new party. Now, I thought about that several years ago, starting a party, but it's an impossible game in America. The two-party system is fully entrenched. George Washington warned us about the two-party system. It is corrupt, and it is the system. And, I said this a few weeks ago before. I could see what was happening here. And the system is really set up to entrench the patronage and the deep pocket interest of both parties. You notice the rhinos vote together. We just approved a $95 billion foreign aid package when we have no money. The United States is spending $2 trillion more than it has this year. So it's stealing money from investors who buy their bonds and giving it to Ukraine, giving it to Israel, and giving it to other folks. It's insane, absolutely insane. We are giving money we don't have. Now, how do you do that? Only a corrupt government can do that. And only the willing accomplices in the House and in the Senate, and same thing in Harrisburg here. Yep, so don't like Afrikaans music either, but it's a moral issue to stand for a culture. There you go. There you go, Chris. I love it. Brilliant shirt, Chris. Collins says you're too honest for people in politics. Debbie, you know what? You're right. You're right. I don't pander to people, and I don't tell them fairy tales. Actually, I got to tell you, I've been a little bit too patient with people because it's my nature and character. But I've about had that. I'm going to be more direct with people in the very near future. I've got a person who was very disrespectful and rude to me, rushing me out of a polling station yesterday, who had no authority whatsoever. I had a couple people from the corrupt Republican Party harassing me at polling stations while ignoring the actions that needed attention of others when they have no authority at a polling station whatsoever. At a polling station in Pennsylvania, the only people who have authority for that polling station are the magistrate and the judge of elections, not some little toady from a Republican Party. And thank you for, oh, there you go. Brett says he emailed the African Christian Democratic Party and they responded promptly. Well, that's pretty cool, but they probably don't get a lot of emails, to be fair. Love the shirt, brilliant. Okay, Chris, what does the fine print? Oh, the fine print on the shirt says, how else can I piss you off today? So white, straight, Republican male, how else can I piss you off today? I wish it didn't say Republican. I wish it said conservative because that's the actual thing. Conquer likes the shirt. Okay, 600 party system South Africa does not work. No, it doesn't. Being direct and honest, will you affirm these stupid pronouns? All right. What about my show? Brett says, your show. Huh? I don't know. Oh, I think Kenneth Mishwe would come on if you ask him. Well, I've asked before and got no response. So, I mean, I can ask. So you're asking what's next, folks. Let's just talk about what's next before we get to the news. This is what's next right now. Okay, so South Africa has an election coming up on May 29th. That is my focus now. Paying my bills, the thousands of dollars of bills that are still coming in from the election. The good news is I had a large tax return, which will help defray some of that cost, but it's a shame that was going to go into savings, so it puts me in a hole. But I didn't have to sell any of my property. I didn't have to do anything crazy to finance the campaign. I just did did it from money I've been saving, and so I don't have the savings. Took a little bit of cushion away from when the apocalypse comes, but money won't do you any good anyway when the apocalypse comes because it's all going to be barter. But seriously, between now and May 29th, the focus will be on South Africa elections. I'll begin reaching out to political parties to see if I can't get their candidates on here to talk about things. Now, as far as me coming to South Africa, folks, it all hinges on the Department of State and their commercial contracting partner. My passport is in their hands, and I don't know the state of it, whether it's being processed or not. Unfortunately, my passport was going to expire on June 17th, and if you don't have 6 months, the authorities won't let you enter the country, which is stupid. It should be, as long as your travel date ends within a week of the expiration date, you should be fine. But that's not how the system works. It's a corrupt system internationally. Any idiot that lets you doesn't let you travel when you still have a valid passport. What's the point of having a 10-year passport? It should be 10 years and 6 months if that's going to be the case. Whatever the case is, I am a prisoner of that. I have no passport at the moment, and hopefully my passport will come in. But to be fair, the passport, if it does come in front of the elections, is going to be very close, and booking a flight may be a challenge. So I'll tell you this right now. Let me put a marker out right now. If, in fact, my passport comes back in advance of the May 29th elections and I'm able to book a flight that I don't have to sell a kidney to pay for, then I will be coming to South Africa on very short notice, and I will need help from y'all. I'll need your help with, I know that in Joburg, I'm set for accommodation. Maryland will take care of that. So that I may wind up not traveling the country just as a consequence of what's the short timeline is. But we have a little over a month now. Hopefully my passport will come in. If it does, I will see you all in South Africa, and we'll move on to the next chapter covering South Africa's momentous 2024 elections. But if I don't get a passport, I'll be covering it from here, which is not quite the same. Anyway, so there's an update on that, folks. Conservative of the world will rise, and Jordan Peterson with his well, yeah, no, Conk, I'm with you, but people have to notice you. For some reason, I'm not getting traction with those notable people. I'm not sure why. Whatever, it's fine. Debbie says May 29th is our turn for survival tactics. Is going to be a silly season. Indeed, it will. Some wouldn't know truth that bit them on their bums. That's true. For the sake of the Western world, maybe right now the America's first candidates need to win at every level. Seems like a bunch of Republicans are Dems in disguise. Yeah, well, that's the case in my race. A candidate who couldn't answer questions, a candidate who simply gave rude lectures when being asked a question, danced around it. Yep. So I had a chat with Ben Shapiro. He thinks the banking system is going to collapse. Well, it can't continue. You had a chat with Ben Shapiro. You know Ben Shapiro, Chris? Wow. Why aren't you linking me up with Ben Shapiro? Yeah, just coming through Mozambique, says Laban. ANC will run this country until Jesus comes to Chaco. Don't hold your breath on that. They'll maybe run it in a coalition, but they're not going to run it outright. That's for darn sure. All right, talking point supplies by party comrades. Gate McKenzie are so comical, so prizzo, but willing to work with the ANC. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Gate McKenzie and his PA, their manifesto is unconstitutional. It is funny to read. Our country is that fussy, one would think they would let you in. Yeah. Oh, John Jarvis says, I have an invitation in his place. John, I don't recall your invitation. My apologies if I forgot it or neglected it. But thank you for that. All right. Well, Midrand is actually a good spot as well. So there you go, folks. John Jarvis offering me accommodation as well. All right. That'll be cool. All right. So John, by the way, thank you for your, I don't know if you contacted Ballotpedia or what you did, but I finally, after you mentioned Ballotpedia at some point, got that invitation to go there, and then I responded to the questionnaire. And that was actually kind of cathartic to do that questionnaire for Ballotpedia, to answer the questions. Very thoughtful, thorough questions. So anyway, but hey, Jax, welcome. Yes, had a DM with him. Well, that is awesome, man. That is awesome, Christine. Or Chris, sorry, Chris. Yeah, well, man. Oh, you should have mentioned me, man. You should have mentioned me. By the way, folks, the beard may be going soon. I think I've had enough of the beard. What's next? Beardless. Paulie will be happy. But I'm getting a little too accustomed to people calling me sir because they think I'm old. By the way, I have like 12 messages in my text message. I haven't had a chance to look at them. I woke up with a massive headache this morning and didn't want to get up. Just my head. I didn't get home last night because you've got like 48 hours to remove signs. Signs that I didn't put out that others put out on my behalf, but on the way back from the other side of the district, stopped at multiple places along the way and picked up yard signs, which took forever. I had to get out of my car repeatedly and put them in the trunk, put them in the back seat. Recovered over 40 signs, and then went and double checked to make sure that the polling station locally was all cleaned up. My team took care of that. Thank you for that. God bless you. The scene that I went to over on the other side, that was taken care of. I personally took care of that because we had a sign with fence posting stakes driven into the ground, and then my big sign on top of it with zip ties on it. So I took care of that, but now there are a few others that have to be collected, 2 that come to mind. The other ones I think someone has taken care of. So yeah, love the clean, hairless face. There you go. Well, with pleasure. Maybe he can help with it. Yeah, well, maybe he can help with a lot of things. I mean, the problem with that conservative crowd, and I'm not going to throw Ben Shapiro in it, but we're talking about Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk and all those, they don't let you get any traction. They steal the oxygen in the room and advance themselves instead of advancing the conservative cause. Ben Shapiro advances the conservative cause, and I have been arguably amongst, or if not the most pro-Israel self-defense commentator out there, other than maybe Ben Shapiro, who is of course Jewish. I'm not Jewish, but yeah. So always imagine a gigantic chin just under the surface. There's no gigantic chin. There is a dimple though. Yep. Brett says, message me for details. Farm workers in Mississippi Delaware are complaining that farmers are paying the white South African farmers more. Well, there's a reason why the white farmers from South Africa are being paid more in the Mississippi Delta. Because they're better. They work harder. They're more experienced. They have better skills and better competency. That's why they're paid more. Why do we pay people more money who work in factories and jobs that require more skill? Because they need more skill. They're better. Garrett says, I don't know, Garrett. I have no idea. I don't know if and when I'm coming. I can't plan anything until my passport is on the way back to me. Then I'll know. If you need to sleep over in Pretoria for a night for 3, you're welcome. Well, thank you, Konka. I appreciate that. I do appreciate it. You should join one of the groups, either on Telegram or WhatsApp. If Hendo's here, he can share that. I didn't see any of the mods. Erica has the flu. She's down for the count with the flu. I hope it's just the flu and not the spicy cough. You remember that. The global scam to destroy society and restructure the world. Most wreaking havoc on everyone's biorhythms as everyone's complaining of headaches today. Yeah. Dentist canceled today. Wow, you don't want a dentist with a headache. With the drill. Yeah. All right, so most farmers' kids don't want to inherit the farms. Yeah. Got a 10. Well, Slippery Pickle's offering me a 10. That's so kind of you. Thank you so much. So kind of you, Slippery Pickle. All right, let's get into the news. It's nice to chat, but we've got a few news items to cover, so let's just go over those. You can chat with me while we do the news. Louis Liebenberg, the diamond trader, the diamond dealer, has had his home raided. Well, they're going after Louis Liebenberg now because he supports Jay-Z, probably. So let's cover that story. Louis Liebenberg's Cape Town house has been raided. A sheriff has swooped in on Louis Liebenberg's house in Cape Town to attach assets, including chairs and a fridge, days after he launched his bid for Parliament. Remember, he's running as an independent candidate. A separate raid was also carried out at his offices linked to him in Kempton Park in Gauteng. A legal representative for the liquidators of Liebenberg's company, Terramix, better known by its trading name Forever Diamonds and Gold, said it was behind the raid. They said they were searching for movable and immovable assets funded by Terramix investors. Wow. So they were placed in a final liquidation back in the second week of April. It means liquidators could search out and sell off assets to raise funds to distribute to creditors. Wednesday's raids come 6 days after he launched his new political party, Herbal, in Johannesburg. So they've reached out to Lee Liebenberg for comment. I'll try the same, but I don't think I'll get a response back with all that's going on. He doesn't owe me anything. So Frank Pollitt says, I'm an English-speaking South African. I really liked Giselle singing, liked your shirt even more. Well, thank you, Frank. Where are these new names coming in from? I'm seeing new people today out of the blue. Thanks for finding the channel. Do appreciate that. And please become a subscriber if you're not one already. Jaya says, Destiny has been gaining quite a lot of traction lately for his pro-Israel stance. You should get in touch with him. Actually, he really gets people in his streams no matter how big their channel is. I have no idea who you're talking about. Who is Destiny? I think of Destiny. I think of Destiny's Child. And, that group. But I don't know who Destiny is, Jaya. So please share with us who that is. I don't know who that is. There also seems to be either a dismissal of me because I'm not in South Africa, or I'm not going to say conspiracy, but all these new upcoming black YouTubers that are covering South African politics. I have reached out to them and the 360 Experience and these others, and they never respond. But they do wind up on Roman Kabinak's program. But then Roman is based in South Africa and has a history there. So I'm not sure. But it's just been putting a crimp on my broadcasting of late. So that's a bit frustrating. But now that I've got more time to focus on it, perhaps I can get back and get these folks. Louis Liebenberg goes down, says Ken Anderson. Yep. Well, thank you for being here, Frank. What else we got going on here? So JP Dreckmeyer said, hey, JP. Chris says that look at the entrance to the train hotel, Moscow, on your second last visit may very well do the trick for everyone. Seriously. Huh? The look at the entrance to the train hotel in Mossel Bay. Chris, I don't remember what the look was. Did I make a... please explain. I mean, that was so long ago. Are you talking about a photograph that I shared from there, or a broadcast we did? Please be more forthcoming. The multi-party charter has come out with its platform of helping the poor, and it is nothing short of an ANC platform. Unbelievable leftist gobbledygook from a collection of parties whom I covered at their launch last year in Emperor's Palace. So, the multi-party charter unveils social welfare plan to tackle poverty. The multi-party charter has launched its plan to tackle poverty to protect the vulnerable, which seems to be based on the Democratic Alliance's election manifesto. The MPC wants to secure socioeconomic development needed to address inequality, hunger, and create a more equitable and resilient society. That is not the role of government. The role of government is not to create a more equitable and resilient society. That is the role of private citizens, not the government. The MPC wants DA leader John Steenhuisen presented the plan outside the Ekurhuleni South African Social Security Agency offices, highlighting the plight of millions of South Africans subject to a dysfunctional welfare system mired in corruption and ineptitude. And he said, we will increase the child grant to the food poverty line, extending the grant to cover pregnant mothers to support child nutrition goals. Now, let me ask you this question, John Steenhuisen and the multi-party charter. How will you do that? Where will the money come from? South Africa's bankrupt. There's no money in the till. How much more money are you going to fleece from those actually paying taxes to hand over to give to people for producing children? Why do you reward people for behavior that's unsustainable? And where does the money come from? And you're going to raise the grant to the poverty level? Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Steenhuisen, but there's a thing called inflation. So will you raise it and index it to inflation every year? No mention of that. You see, politicians just tell you whatever they want to hear. The same in my race. I'm a leader. I'm pro-business. 1770, the Boston Tea Party. Good Lord. No wonder the world's in the crapper. The MPC promised to expedite medical assessments, require people with disabilities to assess disability grants by allowing private doctors to do the medical checks. So who's going to pay the private doctors? Are you going to pay, the taxpayer, so that someone who claims to have a disability can go get disability checked for you to pay? How about you fix the broken state system, which is supposed to process these, rather than dump this in the private sector? We support an increase in the old age grant, funded by reducing the number of people on social grants to a growing economy that lifts people into jobs and opportunities. That's just pipe dreams. What growing economy? There's no growing economy. Now, what they say is a market-based approach as far as allowing the economy to grow, and then that tax revenue coming in as a consequence of that would be more money, and you take... But it's increasing the old age fund. You're just increasing welfare. We will identify social welfare beneficiaries by means testing to ensure interventions reach those genuinely in need. Now, that unfair is a functional response. Yep. We will also develop a national framework on homelessness and improve links with NGOs to ensure adequate support. This is just gobbledygook. Policing the charter will increase police visibility in vulnerable communities with high instances of violent crime at the expense of other communities. Are you increasing the number of patrol officers available? Are you increasing funding for the SAPs? Are you increasing training for the SAPs? Are you giving them functional vehicles? Will you prosecute criminals? All of that bears. You can put all the cops you want in Kailicha. You can put all the cops you want in Alexandria. You can put all the cops you want wherever you want. But there's a cost. Others will suffer. State-owned land, particularly in well-located urban areas, will be redistributed to people for housing. Oh, wow, isn't that nice? I want my land. Hey, right here, MPC, give me my land. I want land too in South Africa. You're giving it away. Wow. Jan says, my advice, find a job out of South Africa next week and watch The Wyatt Show. Jan, are you telling me to come to South Africa and work there? Is that what you're saying? We should not forget that the terrorist ANC is funded by Iran. Yes, I agree, Chris. Richard Lammert's back. Hey, I guess you just popped in, Richard. No, I did not win my election. I lost badly. Caught by a buffeting set of wins by three competing factors, a proxy war between two existing legislators who poured tens of thousands of dollars into this campaign, and dark special interest money came into it as well. Yeah. Just got a phone call here. Sorry, I need to tell this guy I'm on the phone. Just a second here. Just a second here, folks. All right, so I took care of that. I was charging my phone. I had to take the cord out and I put it back in. All right, so yeah, I lost badly. I lost badly, brother. Anyway, anyone see that the Johannesburg, what's this? Or literally at WhatsApp's. Is that supposed to be Johannesburg Metro Police Department, JMPD? No, I didn't see that. Thank you. My broadband reports fiber cables being stolen and thieves are smoking it. Yeah, no, I saw that story. Sable One, I wouldn't consider Vicksburg in the Delta. It's on a hill. Well, on a hill. Are you being funny, Sable One? On a hill in the Delta. Okay. Projection of South economy is 0.9 and we need just 5. No, you need, in order for South Africa to overcome its endemic poverty and lift the population out of poverty, you need 8.5% annual GDP growth for a sustained period of years, which has never occurred under the ANC government. A brief period of time, it reached 8% once in the early part of this century, but it has never achieved that. You need to do that year after year after year to grow your economy. You got to do what China did for 30 years, but you don't have to do it 30 years. You can do it, you can make it much quicker, but it's going to take time. Oh, Erica's here? Okay. Or is she? Because I see Debbie's talking to her. All right, so yeah, back to the news. So the multi-party charter is just throwing a bunch of promises out like everybody else. So this is what South Africa's elections come down to. Everyone's promising something, and none of them can deliver anything. There you go. Rise Mzansi, the Action SA, the PAA, the ANC, the DA, the multi-party coalition or charter. All of these things are promising you things they cannot deliver. It's ludicrous. And so South Africa will continue its path to total collapse after this election. That's sad. It's quite tragic, but it is true. I have no thoughts about Benny Thompson. Sorry, Brett. Good to see you here, though. 14 calls today from Lance Laboratories that only had bloods taken. Oh, they want your blood, Debbie? My vote will always be for Freedom for Plus, says Chaco. Okay. Well, they're part of the multi-party charter. No one can raise children with 900 Rand per month. Perhaps people shouldn't have children and then demand 900 Rand per month. Maybe personal responsibility should be something that people start taking responsibility for. Well, this story in the Propaganda 24 outlet, News 24. Workers of the Public Works Program, a make work program by a communist government. Governments do not create jobs. They destroy jobs by taking resources out of the private sector where it is most efficient in a supply and demand economy. Well, what's going on here? The government has make work and they pay a fee. But it comes out of taxpayers' pockets and it's not enough to live off of. Duh. But it's more than a SASA grant. Yep. Workers in the Public Works Program and Make Work Program in East London are unhappy that they have not yet been absorbed into permanent work. Well, they're demanding that they get permanent jobs. They're demanding that they get more money. Well, demand all you want. One protester, Pumla Sitwaya, said they were absorbed into the program back in 2012. So since 2012, you've done nothing to get off your ample bum to find a proper job, to improve your situation in life. No, you expect the government to create a job paid for by taxpayers who are actually productive, working and putting their lives and their fortune and their family at risk to produce an income. So it's robbed by a government to give you 900 Rand to sit on your fat ass and do nothing for 12 years. You've been in that job for 12 years and you haven't found a better condition for your life. This is bogus, bogus, bogus. I have no empathy for people like this. Well, they've been in this job since 2012. They owe us more money. Why? Why? What gives you the right to take from others? What gives you the right to demand? What made you special? What makes you more special than the next person, black, white, or brown? Nothing. You're just another Homo sapien. Shut up and sit down. Ooh, the cannons are coming out today here in the program, folks. Another participant, Tembisa Jwai, joined the program in 2010. She said, they promised that we would be absorbed for permanent employment in the municipality, but this has not happened. We are calling on Mr. President to dignify the EPWP. No one can raise children with 900 Rand a month. Perhaps you shouldn't have children. If you take a job and it pays 900 Rand per month, you can't raise a child, then don't propagate the species. Do not reproduce. Pretty simple. It's not complicated. It's not overly difficult to understand. African Idiot wants one of these t-shirts. I'll have to order it. Yeah. Sable's going on about Vicksburg. Okay, we got it, Sable. Vicksburg is not inside the Delta, as Brett claimed. It's in a flat area. It's a hill on top of that. But the problem with that is that it was bombed from the river. Vicksburg was bombed from the river by Union cannon boats, was it not? All right, so back to the story here. Good evening, Dylan. Where you been? Daniel Prince says, what's your opinion? The ANC will still be in power for 29 May because they owe Russia, China. No, I think the ANC may very well be in power. Folks, I got to find that presentation. I'm just up doing this. I haven't had time to do it. But I did do that presentation in which I made all those slides. I wonder where those slides would be. They should be here. Let me look very quickly here. I won't spend a lot of time doing this. So let me see if I can find the slides. Oh, that is not. Here we go. Simonstown Fire. No, they're not here. Where are those things at? Fragile coalitions. That's actually not it. Oh, there's the slides. Yeah, I got the pictures here. They're not in a folder. I must have not done a folder. So without showing you the video, I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring these up, and I'm going to do these in order. There we go. Okay, so let me just do these slides in order. Let me see if it works. Let me try this, and I can do the slideshow and talk about the coalitions here. So. Okay. Oh, it's going to work. Okay, cool. Cool. It's going to work. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. We're going to do this. I'm going to put these up on the slide in just a second. I'm going to talk. God bless his freaking mustache. It's time for it to go. It's bothering me. Seriously doubt there's dozens of South Haven farmers in Mississippi. I have no idea how many South Haven farmers are there, Sable. If you can't feed them, don't breed them. Yeah, Mark, exactly right. So Daniel Prince was asking my thoughts. These are my coalition projections that I came up with and made a video which only 2,400 people watched. Should have been 240,000, but hey, you get what you get. So let's go ahead and take a look at this very quickly here, folks. Here we go. Screen number 2. Oh, gosh, there we go. So this is going to be a little hard for you guys to see. There we go. Maybe zoom it up here. So this is the look of Parliament in May 28th, 2024, the day before the elections. The ANC with 230 seats, led by Cyril Ramaphosa, the Democratic Alliance with 84, EFF with 44, the IFP with 14, the Freedom Front Plus with 10 seats in Parliament, ACDP has 4, and so on down the list. Now, that's what the Parliament will look like on May 28th. On May 29th, these are the coalition potentialities. So Parliament based on the Brenhurst survey. Now, this is the Brenhurst survey that came out on the 30th of May, and this is what it says is going to happen. If the people vote the way that survey came out, which is not necessarily going to happen, the ANC would lose 74 seats in Parliament, drop to 156. The DA would gain 24 and be over 100. Jacob Zuma's MK party would get 52 seats for a non-existent party, and Malema's party would lose 4 seats, with the IFP losing 6. Wow. That is crazy. So that's what's going to happen if that, in fact, comes true. So I made this presentation a few weeks back when I had time. So this is the parliament. This is what it will look like based on the Brent-Harris survey, which is no guarantee that that's what's going to happen. But 39% of parliament would be the ANC, 27% the DA, 13% MK, 10% EFF, IFP 2%, and all the rest give 5%. That's what it would look like. That is what the parliament would look like on May 30th if, in fact, the Brent-Harris survey is correct. So we'll go on to the next one here. So these are my coalition scenarios that I came up with. And let's see how many people steal my analysis and claim it as their own in South Africa. But here you go. So this is all based on that survey. So you have the implosion of South Africa scenario in which the country will continue down its path to collapse. This would be an ANC-MK coalition, a very real possibility, which under that survey would give them a 52% majority in the parliament. ANC-MK would have 206 seats, or 5 more than they need to be in control. IFP with 2%, EFF with 10%, and the DA with 27% in the opposition. That is the ANC-MK coalition, which is a very real possibility. Don't listen to the nonsense about Jacob Zuma and the ANC. You're not liking each other. That's all lies. Jacob Zuma is just an egotistical moron, and he will do what he has to do to get back in power. So that is the implosion of South Africa scenario. The next scenario I have for you is the Zimbabwe for South Africa scenario. So this turns South Africa into Zimbabwe. Yep. So this one here is an ANC Democratic Alliance coalition, with the ANC and DA getting 66% of the seats, or 264 seats, for a clear majority and nearly a constitutional rewriting majority, but not quite enough. They didn't have a two-thirds majority, but very close to a two-thirds majority. ANC-DA. This is one that many people fear. The EFF and the IFP are negligible. MK gets 13% of the vote. Now, in this Zimbabwe for South Africa scenario, let me explain what I mean by that. What do I mean by Zimbabwe for South Africa? What I mean by this is go back to 2008 when Mugabe lost the elections and refused to leave power. He just used security forces to remain in power even though he lost the election. What happened? SADC told the MDC, the Movement for Democratic Change, they must go into a coalition. They created a useless functionary position of prime minister, recreated so that Morgan Tsvangirai could be a figurehead prime minister with no authority whatsoever. They gave the finance ministry to Tendai Biti from the MDC, and the MDC salvaged Zimbabwe's economy, restored it by going to dollarization and stopping some of the theft, and Zimbabwe survived. So it is a corrupt, evil coalition that allow people to limp along. This is the future for South Africa should the ANC and DA get in the same boat. The ANC will allow the DA to take over the finance ministry. They will allow them to take over some of the parastatals like Airports Company South Africa so the country doesn't collapse. But they will retain the levers of power over intelligence, the police, judicial, and because they don't want them to have the judicial because then they'll start prosecuting ANC criminals. They will retain the real levers of power, and the ANC will be the real power brokers while the DA tries to work with the ANC and fails. And the country will continue on its path to destruction. That is the Zimbabwe for South Africa scenario. My next scenario is the Armageddon scenario. This is the absolute worst potential outcome of this election, and a very real possibility, folks, a very real possibility. Armageddon, South Africa scenario. The ANC, MK, EFF coalition, that's a 62-seat or 62% coalition, smaller than ANC and DA. But in this coalition, this will be nothing but the pigs at the trough, the thieves getting their fingers on the budgets. That's what this is. Armageddon, South Africa, ANC, MK, EFF, coalition, 66% of the seats. 62%, 248 seats. 248 seats. It's not 66. I got that incorrect over there. So that will give them 248 seats, and this would be the complete destruction of South Africa because the MK, the ANC, and EFF will simply get in position and destroy the country with nationalization, yada, 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 and theft, rapacious theft, and the country will collapse much quicker. Now, finally, the Grand Coalition South Africa scenario. This one is interesting. This one is probably the best outcome, but still not a good one. The Grand Coalition would be AMC and a multi-party charter coalition, which would be a two-thirds majority and then some. ANC multi-party charter coalition would give South Africa a parliament with 72% representation, putting MK and EFF where they belong on the sidelines. They would have 23% of the vote, but no impact on the country. This is the best possible outcome in this election for South Africa. Not one that I advocate, but it is the best possible outcome. This coalition at least has a possibility that they could control But you know what? It's probably even better for the ANC-DA one, because the problem with this one is that the small parties, the multi-party charter, will expect their bakshish, their patronage, their privileged positions, and it all falls apart. So there you go. So the question is, are fragile coalitions South Africa's future? And the answer is yes, very much so. It is South Africa's future, and it is tragic that that is the case. So that was a video that I did. You can go back and listen to my analysis if it's different from that. What are we going to hear? When do your election results become available? Oh, they're already available, Ben. I lost badly. In fact, let me see if I can't get this up on the screen. I did a screen capture. I lost very badly. There it is. Yeah, I lost badly. So you guys want to see it? So here you go. There's the results. I lost very badly. Just 9.3% of the vote. Narrowly avoided coming in last place to a 22-year-old. There you go. So there you go. People want the results. You're tuning in late. There's the results. I lost. And I lost badly. Yep. Now, some people are saying that because I was in the race, it cost Zachary Kyle a race. But that's not true, because a few of my voters were going to vote for Kyle. Many more of my voters were going to vote for me or Anderson, and went for Anderson because of the dirty politics involved. But anyway, enough of that. We need to talk about that nonsense. Boring. Right. Please, heaven help us. Our best hope is to vote ANC out, and as you say, let the other parties work together. Yeah, it is. It is your best hope. Dylan says, wish I won. Well, so do I, Dylan, but you know what? It's fine. Philippines only country in South... What's the line with USA? I don't know that that's accurate, Jonathan. Singapore has a very good relationship with the United States. Indonesia has a better relationship than they used to have, so I'm not sure that's true. Vietnam is working very closely with the United States. We're not allies, but we're working very closely together. Well, South Africa's prisoners get to vote. Yeah, you commit crimes and you still get the right to vote. How wrong is that? Daily Maverick says South African prisoners voting in 2024 are among the few in Africa with the right. Well, it is a constitutional right, and it is morally bankrupt. When you break the norms of society, you should not have the right to determine who rules society. The right of prisoners to vote has at times been resisted by the government and Independent Electoral Commission. A man serving a 25-year sentence in prison told Roundup he is looking forward to voting. The Independent Electoral Commission visited the prison early in the year, and all inmates with identity documents are able to register. Politics affects everyone. Almost everyone is in shambles in the country. There is no department that is functioning properly. That's why I want to vote. In the 2019 general election, 15,000 prisoners voted. The IEC hopes to increase this to 100,000. Wow. 150,000 people are in prison in South Africa. So do murderers get to vote? Wow. Do rapists get to vote? How wrong is that? The Constitutional Court has given until Thursday for the MK party to deliver its papers in its effort to prevent an appeal by the Independent Electoral Commission about whether the party should be on the ballot or not. That's not the right window. This is the correct window. Somebody's mowing in my backyard. Very annoying. Concord gives MK deadline to file papers in Jay-Z election candidacy case. Constitutional Court has given the MK We Seize Way party until Thursday to answer papers if it wants to oppose Electoral Commission of South Africa's appeal against an electoral court decision relating to the party's participation, Jacob Zuma's participation in the election. That's right. They lost their rights to vote when they committed those crimes. No vote should be allowed. Agreed. No criminals should be allowed. Now, misdemeanors, not every misdemeanor is not a serious crime, but felonies, yes, should not be allowed. In Cape Town, extortionists shot dead security guards for protecting municipal workers, and the city has put out a reward for them. City of Cape Town pointed the finger at alleged extortionists after two armed security guards escorting city staff carrying out repairs on a sewer pipe in Felipe were shot dead yesterday. The guards drove to the site in the Polo Park where the city vehicle transported 5 employees. While they're inspecting the pipe, they were accosted by the extortionists and shot dead. Others escaped. 100,000 Rand reward is offered after they're shot dead. City of Cape Town has put up 100,000 Rand reward after 2 security guards contracted to escort staff to repair a sewage pipe were shot and killed on Tuesday. Cape Town's Mayor Jordan Hill Lewis said the 100,000 Rand is for information that leads to the successful capture and prosecution of those responsible for the murder. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. So city workers cannot go out and do their job because their life is threatened. Well, it was a horrible weekend in rugby, and I'm glad that I didn't have time to cover it because the Stormers choked, the Bulls choked, the Sharks choked, and fortunately, the Lions had a big showing against Leinster, but pretty much the Lions are mired in 11th place, maybe not going to make the playoffs. The Stormers are barely clinging to a playoff spot. They've cost themselves a chance for a home quarterfinal, and the Bulls are on the cusp of not having a home quarterfinal as well. This is bad news for URC teams in South Africa. The stumble may cost them dearly as the playoff looms for the big guns. Stormers have effectively blown a home quarterfinal while the Bulls are also in a precarious position. South African rugby couldn't have asked for a worse outcome in the 14th round of URC. The Sharks, Bulls, and Stormers went down while the results in Pretoria and Cape Town relegated the Lions to 11th place in the standings, in spite of their 44-12 victory against Leinster. The Bulls and Stormers may come to regret their losses to Munster and Ospreys. They will. They will regret it. The Stormers have been inconsistent this season. Neighboring Botswana has rejected the UK's quest to dump asylum seekers in the small country, and I'm glad. Botswana does not need more asylum seekers. They've been host to a crowd of Somalis, 5,000 of them, since the early 1990s, and they're not going away when they should go back to Somalia. Botswana says it's rejected a proposal to accept asylum seekers from the United Kingdom, an arrangement similar to the one that Rwanda has agreed to. UK's House of Lords passed a bill that will see migrants deport to Rwanda, and not a day too soon. In Botswana this week, an umbrella of civil society organizations urged the government to reject proposals from the UK and send thousands of migrants to the African nation. Botswana's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Lemogang Kwape, told VOA that UK officials reached out, but authorities in Gaborone would not commit to hosting people not knowing what the end game is. Well, good for you. Good for you. They should not be coming to Botswana. New attacks in Darfur in Africa as the world ignores the plight and the ANC fails to say anything about Darfur, but they're all up in the business of Israel over Gaza. Experts following the Sudan war say the surge in fighting around the city of El Fasher echoes violence that tore through there back in the early 2000s. Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces and other allied militias in recent days have attacked and torched villages in war-torn Darfur, according to satellite images and interviews with survivors, stirring fears of more mass killings in the region. Well, Darfur is on fire and the world is silent, but they really care about Israel. Yep, Israel, who responds in self-defense, whereas Darfur has descended into chaos between egotistical leaders of the RSF and the government. Israel has deployed reserve brigades to the Gaza Strip. 2 reserve brigade divisions to the Gaza Strip. What is a brigade division? That's 2 different levels of units. They're preparing a ground invasion of Rafah. Said an offensive Rafah is necessary to achieve their goal of eliminating Hamas. Well, good luck with that. Bad mojo. Well, Joe Biden's callous, cowardly, dishonest, lying withdrawal from Afghanistan is back on the table, folks. Yes, a CNN investigation of a Defense Department investigation proves, from CNN's point of view, that it was a whitewash and we were misled. New evidence challenges the Pentagon's account of a horrific attack on U.S. as it withdrew from Afghanistan. New video evidence uncovered by CNN significantly undermines 2 Pentagon investigations into an ISIS-K suicide attack outside the Kabul airport, which left American troop withdrawal in August of 2021. Incident was a gruesome coda to America's longest war, leaving 13 dead service members and about 170 Afghans who were desperately seeking U.S. help to flee the Taliban. For 2 years, the U.S. military has insisted the loss of life was caused by a single explosion, and that troops who reported coming under fire and returning it were likely confused in the chaotic aftermath, some suffering from the effects of the blast concussion. But a video captured by a Marine's GoPro, lying Defense Department officials are undermined by a GoPro. I love it, I love it, I love it. That has not been seen publicly in full before, shows that there was far more gunfire than the Pentagon has ever admitted. A dozen U.S. military personnel who were on the scene and spoke to CNN anonymously for fear of reprisals have described the gunfire in detail. One told CNN he heard the first large bursts of shooting coming from where U.S. Marines were standing, near the blast. It wasn't onesies and twosies, it was a mass volume of gunfire. An Afghan doctor who spoke to CNN on the record for the first time said he personally pulled bullets from the wounded, with his hospital staff counting dozens of Afghans who died from gunshot wounds. Combined, the new evidence challenges the credibility of 2 U.S. military investigations and raised serious questions for the Pentagon, which has continued to dismiss mounting evidence that civilians were shot dead. The blast at 5:36 p.m. on August 26, 2021, outside Hamid Karzai Airport marked the worst casualty incident in Afghan civilians and U.S. troops in over a decade. There you have it. So we're lied to once again by the U.S. government. Shocker. Al Jazeera continues its war against Indian Prime Minister Modi, calling him a bigot and a xenophobe once again. This opinion piece, and I got to give Al Jazeera credit, Apur Varnan's piece is accurately described as opinion. It is on the opinion page, and I have to show respect for Al Jazeera for being an honest news outlet from that standpoint, but the op-ed is clearly an attack on Modi, and from that standpoint, it's not necessary. Modi wants to turn India's election into a Hindu-Muslim war, and the Elections Commission of India is allowing it, says this gentleman in his opinion piece. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Bharatiya Janata Party have decided they will contest the 7-phase national election as champions of Hindu interests. They've also made it clear that protecting Hindu interests means protecting them from Muslims. Wow. So, but at least credit to Al Jazeera for calling it what it is, op-ed. The skies of Athens are orange like the surface of Mars. Why is this? Because of sand and dust blowing up from the Sahel. Massive storms have blown tons of sand into the air, obscuring the skyline. Look at tourists here near the Acropolis as the sky turns orange. This is incredible, but this is nature at work. Here you go. Get all these people. Day turned to night. Look at that over Athens. That's absolutely incredible, folks. Hardly the first time it's ever happened. Mother Nature is quite impressive. A group of horses got on the loose in London, causing havoc and chaos for 2 hours running around central London after a slab of concrete apparently fell on the ground and startled the horses from the house cavalry guards, and they just bolted through London. One of the horses running into a bus and getting all cut up, running through the streets covered in blood on its chest and legs. Runaway horses galloped through central London, blazing a path of mayhem and injuries. Here you can see two of the horses galloping through an intersection. Apparently they had a green light. If you look up there, the cross traffic had a red light, so the horses had a green light when they galloped through. 5 military horses, including one seemingly covered in blood, got loose in central London earlier today, galloping through rush hour crowds, smashing into vehicles, injuring 7 people before being recaptured. A number of military working horses became loose during a routine exercise, a spokesman for the Ministry of Defense said. All the horses have now been recovered and returned to camp where veterinarians are seeing to them. According to the ministry, 6 soldiers and 7 horses from the household cavalry, specifically the lifeguards, the most senior regiment of the British Army, were conducting an extended exercising of horses known as the Watering Order. About a mile into the journey, as they passed a construction site in Belgravia, the sound of concrete hitting the ground caused the horses to spook. 5 of the horses bolted, unseating 4 soldiers. 3 soldiers were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and the horses kept running. They ran for 2 hours through the streets of London, folks. Wow, 2 hours before they could corral these horses and get them under control. Something tells me they'll no longer be available for doing this sort of activity. So let's go ahead and get over here. I'll keep it on mute. We don't want to get a copyright claim here, but here is... All right, this is someone's video from London. Here come the horses galloping by. Look at that, covered in blood. My goodness. Where are they going? They're running right into and through traffic in central London. My goodness, the Belgravia part. There you go, somebody scooting by. It looked like one of those DoorDash guys. And the horses took different paths here, and the others caught up. Wow, that's from ITV. They've claimed that. But anyway, yeah, that's something else, isn't it? Central London. Over 2 hours, they wove a destructive path through 6 miles of the city. For 2 hours, they traveled 6 miles. Wow. Yeah, poor horses. What a sight that must have been. Londonistan is a crap hole, says Hendo. Are the 101st Airborne and 2,004 troopers being deployed in Ukraine? No, no. I don't know about the Foreign Legion, but the 101st Airborne is not being deployed. Nope. Hendo says, what's this? The mod got unsubscribed. Did Hendo get unsubscribed again? Hate this cocktube. Why am I unsubscribed to this channel? Exactly. Because they're evil. They're evil. YouTube is evil. And I'm constrained to YouTube. No one's making an offer. Someone wants to make me an offer. I'll consider it to do media elsewhere, but it's just not there. John says, what do you mean YouTube is becoming? It's already there. Yep. Sorry, I had to cough. Well, Pennsylvania's primary elections, let's go to that. Donald Trump convincingly the winner, 83.4%, and the bum-hurt Republicans who are acting like petulant children, they're still adding the votes. They're coming in. Some of the votes haven't been tallied yet. They just got updated, so 946,000 Republican votes, 998,000 for the Democratic Party, with Joe Biden getting 929,000 of those votes. Yep. Attorney General for the Democrats, Eugene De Pasquale, with 300,000 votes, but that was a split race with 3 candidates. He gets 35%. Dave Sunday wins convincingly in the Republican primary with 70% of the votes. And in the House, let's see what Scott Perry got. If we can find it here. Where is Perry at? There's Perry. Uncontested. So Janelle Stelson, who's running against him, got 43% of the Democratic vote. Scott Perry, they don't even give a vote total. It says uncontested, but he was on the ballot. I actually got the vote for him. Sorry, folks. This is all people working my campaign. I had to take a phone call there for a moment, so sorry about that. Yeah, so Trump wins convincingly in Pennsylvania. United States Senate has passed the House bill to ban TikTok or force the sale of TikTok to a non-Chinese entity, and yet more government overreach here. U.S. Senate voted late Tuesday to send legislation to Joe Biden that required the Chinese owner ByteDance to divest the popular TikTok asset within 9 months or face a ban. Wow. For years, we've allowed the Chinese Communist Party to control one of the most popular apps in America, and that was dangerously short-sighted, said Senator Marco Rubio, top Republican in the Intelligence Committee. Well, yeah, that's not your role, though, government. That's a private citizen thing. Anyway, United States has unveiled another $1 billion military aid package for the corrupt regime in Kyiv. Yep, resupply of artillery, armored vehicles, and air defense missiles comes after Congress, following months of political gridlock, approves a massive foreign aid package. The United States will send a substantial security package to Ukraine, including badly needed air defense systems and artillery rounds, the White House said Wednesday, as administration its war chest replenished after months of gridlock. Wow, so we're continuing Joe Biden's proxy war in the build-up to the election. Boeing is in a lot of trouble, folks. Boeing, the aircraft manufacturer, one of the world's two major manufacturers, of course, Embraer makes planes, as well as the Chinese, but the two and the Russians. But the major ones are, of course, Airbus and Boeing, with the vast majority of commercial aircraft produced by those two. But they are in a lot of trouble. They've burnt through $4 billion of cash, and they're scaling back production of the 737 MAX after that panel blowout. Burned through. Yep, the jetmaker reported $355 million loss as revenue fell 8% from a year ago in quarterly results that were slightly better than expected. Near term, yes, we're in a tough moment, outgoing Chief Executive Dave Calhoun said. Lower deliveries can be difficult for our customers and our financials, but safety and quality must and will come above all else. Well, the question is credibility at Boeing, where people have said this wasn't taken seriously enough by the company. Well, the Key Bridge, the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, which is in ruins courtesy of an Asian tanker or cargo ship that ran into the building, is getting the channel cleared. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has cleared 3 smaller channels. They're about to clear a 50-foot deep channel for larger ships. From the Patapsco River from Baltimore in the Sundapple water below the Francis Scott Key Bridge once stood, signs of disaster are impossible to miss. Street lights are poking up. Signs are poking up from the water. Yes. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers boat captain definitely maneuvered his debris removal ship, the Reynolds, around the captive tanker, the Dolly. The ship is still there. The focus Tuesday was on the salvage operation and the push to clear a channel for idling freighters that have been waiting weeks to access the port. So they're about to get a third. They have a 35-foot deep alternate channel, but they're about to get a 50-foot deep channel open by the end of May in the Patapsco River. Oracle is once again moving its headquarters, famously founded in California by Larry Ellison a long time ago. Oracle, owned in no small measure by the billionaire Larry Ellison and a proponent of thin clients, among other things, in networking. Oracle is moving. It moved from California to Austin, Texas, now moving to Tennessee to be near the healthcare industry. Larry Ellison said the relocation will help the company better integrate with the healthcare industry. We want to be in a community where our people want to live. I guess they don't want to live in Austin, Texas, which is run by leftists. Yep. In 2020, the company, along with other Silicon Valley companies, moved from California to Austin, Texas. It was founded back in 1977 in Redwood City, California. In Santa Clara, and later moved to Redwood City. Larry Ellison is multi-billion-dollar, one of the most powerful software companies in the world, Oracle, moving around. Well, 228 people arrested at Columbia and New York University for their criminal acts in obstructing public safety will not be charged and will not have a criminal record, including the daughter of Ilhan Omar. Not one of the 228 arrested at Columbia and New York University anti-Israeli protests will get a criminal record. A total of 120 people were nabbed at New York University, 116 received summonses for trespassing, and 4 got desk appearances tickets for charges including resisting arrest. But none of them will get criminal records, and none of them are being held in prison like the January 6ers. Look at this behavior. The majority of those arrested at the Morningside Heights campus were left off summonses, while a few others were given desk appearance tickets for charges including resisting arrest and assaulting a police officer. So leftists can assault police officers and not even get charged with a crime. Wow. Unbelievable. Well, Joe Biden has done it again. He's been mocked for a gaffe where he admitted that we can't be trusted. Of course, he's talking about politicians. Let's see if we've got that tape right here.
In a sense, I don't know why we're surprised by Trump. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted?
Joe Biden says we can't be trusted. We know you can't be trusted, Joe. He's trying to attack Donald Trump, and he tells people he can't be trusted. We love it. We love it. Love it. Joe Biden mocked for admitting we can't be trusted, latest gaffe. I don't know why we were surprised by Trump. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted? People laughed at the idiot as he said that. Joe Biden, the moron. Well, folks, there is an op-ed piece appearing in the Washington Examiner talking about Joe Biden trying to destroy internet. This net neutrality, which was set aside by Donald Trump. The reason the internet grew so fast and the economy survived financial chaos was because the reduced cost of the internet, which that savings was passed on to those who use the internet for their services, goods and deliveries and such, and for commerce. And because of those savings, the economy was growing and profitability was growing, productivity and efficiency were growing. But the Democrats want to go back to a time in which the state, the government, determines the price of access to the internet, and that will drive up our costs. Consumers saved an average of $45 on their cell phone bills and their cable bills as a consequence of Trump deregulating this nonsense. But now they want to bring it back and make us do it. Just give him his ice cream. Yeah, so let me read this op-ed to you very quickly here. I think I have it over here somewhere. There we go. What happened when former President Trump deregulated and fixed mobile broadband internet service? Prices plunged, speed skyrocketed, and all the crazy end of the world is nigh predictions from the media and Democrats were wildly, comically wrong. It is objectively one of the most successful deregulations in history, yet urged on by President Joe Biden, the Federal Communications Commission is set to reverse it tomorrow and has already enacted digital discrimination rules that will create an even heavier regulatory burden. One of the wise decisions by Congress in the mid-1990s during the infancy of the internet was to keep the internet relatively regulation-free and lawsuit-free. This hands-off policy helped spawn a multi-trillion-dollar digital industry that American technology companies quickly came to dominate. That changed when Obama's FCC reclassified the internet as a public utility, which it is not, opening the door to new and significant restrictions on what commercial contracts could be permitted. One was a set of business-to-business price regulations euphemistically described as net neutrality. Another regulation essentially prohibited wired and wireless internet service providers from using, sharing, or selling information about consumers' browsing history, app usage, or location information. The Trump administration removed the Obama requirements, returning to the light touch approach to the internet regulation. The privacy rules were repealed in March 2017 by Trump and Congress, and net neutrality rules were repealed later that year. Rolling back Obama-era regulations would be the end of the internet as we know it, promised Senator Bernie Sanders and John Tester in 2017. The New York Times opined that ending the Obama FCC's public utility regime would hasten the death of our internet, as it would increasingly resemble the Chinese model of information control. Quite the opposite. NBC News predicted that it would destroy everything that makes the internet great, stifling innovation and sticking internet users with extra fees. In fact, it spawned innovation and it reduced fees because Democrats simply lie to people. Now, our new Committee to Unleash Prosperity study from the Washington Examiner finds that the opposite happened, a boom in commercial internet activity and much wider access. The internet became democratized and affordable in part through deregulation. The price regulations and the prohibition of low-price market segments that came with the public utility approach were not saviors for households or businesses. Regulations undermined competition, business investment, and product quality. Repealing them did the opposite. In early 2017, Janet Yellen's Federal Reserve was puzzled about how the economy was growing at the same time that something was dragging down inflation. How can inflation be declining with demand rising? Yellen, who's now the Treasury Secretary, plowed through the data and discovered a large decline in telecommunications service prices, which she dismissed as an idiosyncratic shift. Actually, it was the 115th Congress and Trump who used the Congressional Review Act to overturn a regulation by the FCC that was encouraging both wireless and wired internet service providers to charge higher subscription fees. Prices immediately fell below $40 per subscriber. I got my mobile contract with unlimited for my second phone at $25 per month after this passed. Competition is likely an important factor helping to reduce internet service prices while increasing their quality. Republican FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr explains the percentage of Americans with access to 2 or more high-speed fixed ISPs has increased by 30% since 2017, up from 229 million in 2017 to approximately 295 million in 2022. Although 2017 was supposed to be the end of the internet as we know it, wired internet speeds increased by a factor of 5.8 between 2017 and 2023. Wireless internet speeds increased by a factor of 8.7. In 2017, speedtest.net showed U.S. ranked 45th in the world in terms of average mobile internet download speeds. By 2022, most recent year that data speeds are available, the U.S. had climbed from 45th under Democrats to 16th in the world. Between 2022 and 23, the U.S. gained another 7 ranks on the median speed metric. All these improvements occurred after Trump deregulated this nonsense. In the face of this deregulatory success story, the Biden FCC proposes to reclassify broadband internet service as a regulated public utility and to impose the privacy rules that were overturned by Congress. Wow. Now, this is an op-ed by Phil Kerpen, President of the American Commitment and Committee to Unleash Prosperity, and Casey Mulligan, an economics professor from the University of Chicago. And that's the truth, folks. We lost 10 people who didn't want to hear that story. Sorry to see you go. But that is the truth about what's really going on. And this is more government intrusion into the private sector, which undermines society. James Buies here says, Chris, would you chat with Dr. Sean Stewart, UCS and Cape Independence? Sure, put me in touch with him, James. I don't know who that is. I'm happy to talk to anybody. I've covered Cape secession more than pretty much anybody else, but not much lately. Radine says, can't say I agree with you here. Corporations are overwhelmingly woke. The government is occasionally on our side when we have our own people in office. I'm not sure what we're disagreeing on there. Larry Ellison has one of the fastest yachts. Yeah, that's true, Garrett. Hey, Charles. And, Fiona's tuned in. Thank you, Fiona, for being here. Marilyn's got her hands up. What's that about, Marilyn? Did I miss something here? There goes Black Beauty, the horse. Pip said had to work late today. Well, that's fine. You got to work. You don't need Joe. No, we don't need Joe. Fed Cox stories. Ribby is a permanently selected, not member. Yep, exactly. Uniparty guy. Yep. I'd happy to talk to the guy, James. Just put me in touch with him. The American government acts as evil right now. Well, I'm going to have a hard time disagreeing with that. Would you consider having a guest on to inform your viewers on what to be aware of regarding solar systems? Yeah, sure. I don't know somebody. Do you know someone in the industry? I'll try to find someone about solar. We can get someone to talk about solar. Yeah. So, Biden been proving untrustworthy by Trump. Yep. I'm sorry that you haven't been well, Fiona. I hope you're feeling better now. Anyway, there you go, folks. So 74 people here, 75 likes. We actually peaked over 102 people in the program a short while ago. Thanks for coming in. And we do appreciate your support for the channel. It is nice. So a number of people asked, now that I've lost badly my race for the House of Representatives, now that I've lost that race badly, what will I be doing? Well, in the near term, the focus will be on South Africa's elections, and I will reach out probably tonight or tomorrow and try to start getting interviews set up with folks from these different parties. Fairly knowledgeable in the solar power. Okay, Slippery Pickle, get me set. Yeah, I know, Fiona, I know it's an ongoing thing. You have challenges there, but we're glad to see your presence. Always a pleasure to have Fiona with us on the program. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, folks, so today, the short term, what I've got to do is I got to go out and collect up all these signs at all over the place that haven't already been stolen or destroyed. Yeah, and then I've got my radio show tonight, which I'll break it to my audience that I did not win. Not only did I not win, I did very poorly. But anyway. Radine says government should interfere in the economy because corporations can't be trusted to uphold morality and activism. Yeah, you're wrong, Radine. You're factually incorrect. Factually incorrect. I can show thousands of examples of corporations that behave far more appropriately, morally than governments. Government's sole role is to ensure a level playing field. That's why you have a judicial system to settle disputes between corporations, between individuals. That's why you have policing. But the government's role is not to decide what the right or what the price should be for a good or service. The government's role is not to decide what a salary should be for an employee. That is an intrusion, an unwarranted intrusion into the marketplace, which undermines the productivity and efficiency of the marketplace and harms everyone. Doesn't help people. Setting minimum wage doesn't help anybody. That's asinine. Let the market dictate. If a job only pays $2 an hour, then nobody's going to work there. Guess what? If nobody will take $2 an hour, then you can't pay $2 an hour. So you offer 3. Nobody takes a job, you can't get anyone. You offer 4. No one takes it. 7. No one takes it. 9. A couple will take it, but not enough. Then you have to offer 11. And then you have to make your model fit within that. Yikes. I mean, that's just, Radine, it's not the role of government, man. Government screws everything up. The Italian economy is a disaster. Why? Because of government regulation and intrusion, not to mention the wholesale tax evasion that takes place in Italy. Man, the level of tax evasion that takes place in Italy is unbelievable. Germany, too, by the way. Brett's still talking about Vicksburg. Come to Vicksburg. I can get you a place to stay. I haven't been down there before. I might think about that. What is Richard wants my email address for something? Okay. Oh, where can I send email? Okay, there you go. Thanks for putting that in there. Cosmic Cultivators. Hey, long time. How you doing? Good to see you there. And Mike says, setting up Medal of Honor Grove visit in Valley Forge. Oh, yeah, let me know, and I'll try to see if I can make it. I'll maybe take an alternate route rather than that $19.10 turnpike trip. James says, okay, I will. UCS works with... oh, I know, Hein. You can tell those folks that Hein and I are friends, okay? United Cape States. I hadn't seen that before. That's a new one. Yeah, James, let them know. And there's a super chat from Leovan. Thank you for that. 250 Rand. Wow, thanks for that for Leovan. And Brett just gave one too. So it's a small contribution towards airfare for Wakanda. Well, yeah, I can use that. So hopefully the passport will come in. Fingers crossed. As we say in German, there's another one from Brett. Super chat. $2. Ich drücke die Daumen. Crossing the fingers in American, but in Germans we say I press on the thumbs. Ich drücke die Daumen. So yeah, hopefully my passport gets back so I can make the trip to South Africa. Actually, I need a break. That'll be a lot of work. I'll be running around, meeting people, meet and greets, doing things, checking out this, that, and the other. You know, this time I'd like to come to South Africa, even though I'll be covering the election if I get there in time for the election. But I'd like to enjoy myself and relax for a little bit. Maybe have a beer or two, you know, sit back in a braai and have a good old time rather than working all the time. That would be cool. So Brett says, was Microsoft monopoly? Yes, it was. Not only was it a monopoly, but it was an evil monopoly. Microsoft bundled its horrible web browser into Windows 95. And because of that, people used the browser because it was on the computer. They didn't know about the internet, and whether they didn't go download an alternate one like what later became Mozilla, that didn't exist then, but also Netscape. And that was the best browser ever, Netscape, by the way. Anyway, yeah, so Microsoft was a monopoly, and Clinton administration, they did the right thing by going after the monopoly because they were unfairly using the operating system to their advantage. The browser wasn't an integral part of the operating system. It was essentially an app, and they used it as if it was integral, and they cut out opposition. So there you go. Right. New chapter of the Okavango. Fiona has a link to her new chapter. There you go. Greece economy disaster, Thanksgiving. Yep. Radian, I was not talking about the economy. I was talking about the fact that corporations overwhelmingly promote leftism. Oh, no, Radian, you're correct in that. I agree 100% there. I don't know what happened to corporations, but they became infiltrated by leftists and woke idiots, and the corporations are no longer trustworthy and reliable. Many of them. Agreed 100%. 100% agree with you on that. No difficulty going with that. Fiona was in the hospital now, we find out. My goodness. Thoughts and prayers for Fiona, folks. Do you know how to relax? Your itineraries are always jam-packed, busy bee. Yeah, they are, Debbie. They really are. I don't think I know how to relax. Even when I went down Amazimtoti the last time, and when Eric was down there and visited, went to the shopping mall and went ice skating. Remember that? I put some videos up ice skating. I hadn't ice skated in a while. Garrett says, what do you attribute your poor outcome to? Well, I already covered that, Garrett. You must have not been here. I said there's a few factors. Number one, there's this proxy war between the state representative and the state senator. They were fighting it out. And rather than back the best candidate, they backed, one backed who they could use as a pliant tool. The other backed the person because they hated the other person. That played a large role in this race. I think there's a fourth consideration, which I didn't really think was relevant, but it turns out it's relevant. People aren't going to vote for people unless you were born here and never went any further than the confines of your neighborhood. Apparently, if you've seen the world and you're erudite and educated and talented, that doesn't matter. So I think that might have been a factor as well. But the big factors were the proxy fight between those two people and the amount of money poured in, the dark money from outside special interests that were poured in. And two more factors really played a role here. One, the guy who won the race with just 35% of the vote was a teacher for 20 years, and people gave their vote away because their kids went to school with him and he's a popular teacher. I mean, that's not a reason to vote for someone. Anyway, so that played a role. And then finally, the dishonest political game being played, my yard signs being stolen and moved, which meant that my name just disappeared all over the place. A number of people thought there was no longer in the race, and they didn't go out to vote because they didn't think I was in the race anymore because my yard signs kept disappearing. And I didn't have tens of thousands of dollars to blanket the airwaves, talking about still being here. I did spend money on that quite a bit. But and then just this dirty, underhanded thing by a dark money political interest group that funded a final mailer for the candidate who won, claiming that candidate was a legacy of the very popular legislator who's leaving the seat. That was very dishonest. A number of people who were going to vote for me then decided to vote for the other guy because they thought if I wasn't the candidate, he was the one. So I lost a lot of votes. I can't tell you how many, but I lost a lot of votes because of that underhanded political nonsense right there. And I'll tell you what, that candidate will be the legacy of the state legislator, and that state legislator will regret either causing that to happen or not disavowing him. Yeah, this person will not represent the interest of this district at all. So we're in the cock, and people got what they want. So there you go. So that's what I attribute it to. I hope that answered. Yes, your experience is intimidating. You were political collateral damage. I was political collateral damage, Mike. And here's the thing. Yesterday, before any of the vote totals come out, the state senator and a host of other people, including the top candidates, all seemed very convinced that I would do well, if not win this race. And I was confident too. I'm actually a bit surprised and shocked that my vote total was as low as it was. That's honestly, I gotta be honest, it's a little bit embarrassing. Yeah, but whatever. Politics is nasty. My integrity is intact. I didn't cheat. I didn't steal. I didn't lie. I didn't mislead. And I didn't take people's money. So I'm very proud of that. I refused to take people's money for the campaign because I said it's a crapshoot. And it was a crapshoot. And now nobody gave me money and none of it got wasted. So there you go. Yep. Yeah, Trump was right. Yep. More of a popularity race. Thank you, Hendo. You're correct. More of a popularity race. Yep. Yep, it was a popularity race rather than an election. Yep, and you can't account for that. We thought the voters were more erudite and sophisticated than they were. Yep, apparently they weren't. Anyway, but whatever. Neither here nor there. Charles says, surely a retiree with extensive worldly knowledge would be an excellent candidate. Well, how about, here's the one. This is the funniest one of all. Ready? Okay, I'm going to cover this. This isn't, I said this as it came out. This dark money special interest, PA Economic Growth Group, endorsed the candidate with no business experience, who's never run a business, whose sole claim to fame is 27 years teaching. Yet they claim that he's pro-business and the best candidate to support business and small business based on what? In the race was a candidate who was a successful small businesswoman with a business that just celebrated its 20th anniversary in business, in profitable, hiring lots of people, lots of experience, and also on a local government council, so has experience dealing with business from the government perspective. Didn't endorse that candidate. Didn't endorse the candidate who's a financial analyst who has helped people with their financial planning, their estate planning, so understands how to make money and has done it successfully for 15 years. Didn't endorse that candidate. Remember, this is a business special interest. It's supposed to be concerned about interest. And didn't endorse the candidate that's actually run $3 billion programs. Here's the funny thing. Nobody refuted anything I said. Nobody had anything that they could say that wasn't true. And nobody professed a dislike of me. I'm sure some people dislike me. That's their prerogative. But none of that took place. And I knocked on thousands of doors. Thousands, folks. Thousands of doors. And spoke to a few thousand people, minimum. Most of whom said they were very enthusiastic. Yet I got less than 1,000 votes. So, yeah, a popularity contest. Not going to win that one. Also, there was a smear campaign going on against me from people locally here, which hurt my vote in this district, but I wouldn't have won this district anyway. Smear campaign about these scumbags who want to destroy our veterans organization. And because they've lost their privileges to go there, they went out and propagated false stories and lies about me as commander. And they can go fuck themselves as far as I'm concerned. I don't need children like that. They don't deserve oxygen. They're thieves, they're liars, and they're cheats. None of the candidates, nobody in the race. I'm talking about people outside the race. Yep. Yeah, anyway. Yeah. Anyway, look, it's enough of that, folks. Again, as I said before the election, I will not reach self-actualization by getting elected to the Pennsylvania state legislature. If enough voters don't want me there, that's their prerogative. They want to elect someone else, that's their prerogative. You can use your vote any way you want. It's how the system works, and I encourage people to vote. So, and I thanked a lot of people for voting. I'm sure most of the people I've thanked for voting yesterday didn't vote for me, but that's all right. There was a lot of effort put in, Debbie, but it was put in by their backers. Their backers gave them resources to do it. So anyway, yep. But I had a group of volunteers who helped out towards the end. It was very helpful, and I got to thank them. So I got to get off of here and address that. I'm sure that people are asking me where I'm at, what's going on, and I got to talk to them. So anyway, yep. All right, so we're going to wrap it up here, folks. 86 likes, 79 currently here. Thanks for tuning in. No Wednesdays with the Colonel, obviously, today. Ronaldo's not available. We might consider doing it tomorrow. I will be on the radio tonight with the Common Sense Conservatives. So if anybody's listening to WSMN.live tonight, you can listen in. Some people watch it on Facebook or YouTube, and you can catch us there. But I'll be on tonight there with my co-host, and I'm sure they're interested in hearing what happened. But anyway, thanks a lot, everybody, and congratulations to the winner in the 92nd District. Yep. Thanks a lot, everybody. Hopefully my headache goes away. Send a message to them. Thank you very much for that. And Charles says, thanks for the update. And you're all very welcome. Thank you. God bless, and have a lovely day. It's always a pleasure having you here following my program and following my ventures. God bless, and be safe wherever you find yourself. We'll catch you next time right here on Chris Wyatt Reports. Cheers, folks.